Once upon a time, there was a man named Sadiq. Sadiq was not loud. He did not talk too much. He did not like trouble. He was the kind of person that noticed everything, but still kept his face calm. When people shouted at him, he would just nod. When people tried to shame him, he would look down for a second, then look up again, like he was holding something strong inside. Most people in Lagos did not even see Sadiq as a full person. They only saw him as a driver, but if you watched him well, you would notice something strange about him. His shirts were always clean. His shoes were always neat. Even when his clothes were simple, he still looked put together. He had a straight back when he stood, and when he walked, he did not drag his feet like someone who had given up on life. His eyes were quiet, but they were not weak. The problem was this. Sadiq worked for a woman who enjoyed looking down on people. Her name was Aderonke Bello. Aderonke was rich, loud, and proud. She liked expensive things. She liked being called Madam. She liked when people begged her for help, because it made her feel big. She owned a business that made luxury home designs for rich people. She decorated big houses, offices, and hotels. People in her world cared about brands, hair, nails, and who sat where at parties. And in Aderonke's world, Sadiq was at the bottom. That morning, Sadiq stood outside her big house in Ikoyi, beside a black SUV that looked like it could swallow a small car. The gate was tall. The compound was wide. The flowers were arranged like someone was always expecting visitors. Sadiq checked the time on his phone, then wiped a small spot on the car door with a cloth. It was not even dirty, but he wiped it anyway. He heard heels clicking behind him. "Are you blind?" Aderonke's voice came sharp like a slap. "Why is the car still there? I said we are leaving by 8. Sadiq turned quickly. "Good morning, Ma." "Good morning for who?" Aderonke snapped, adjusting her sunglasses even though the sun was not that bright. "See you, standing like statue. If I miss this meeting, you will pay for it." "Yes, Ma," Sadiq said. Aderonke looked him up and down like she was checking a broken chair. "And what is that shirt? Is it only one shirt you have in your life?" Sadiq looked at his shirt. It was clean, plain, neat. "Ma, it is clean," he said softly. Aderonke laughed in a mean way. "Clean does not mean fine. You people don't know the difference. Clean can still be shame." Sadiq opened the back door for her like nothing happened. Aderonke entered and crossed her legs. As he moved to the driver's seat, he heard her phone ring. She picked it fast, smiling like she had changed into a different person. "Hello, babe," she sang into the phone. "Yes, now. I'm on my way. This useless traffic again. My driver will suffer today." Sadiq's hands tightened on the steering wheel for a second. Then he relaxed them. He drove out, steady and smooth. Inside the car, Aderonke talked loudly on the phone, laughing and shouting like she wanted the whole street to hear. "Please, don't stress me," she said. "This meeting must go well. You know my client is big. Big people don't like mistakes." She paused and rolled her eyes, looking at Sadiq through the mirror like he was the mistake she was talking about. "Yes, I'm still using that same driver," she continued. I know, but drivers are like slippers. You use them until they tear." Sadiq kept his eyes on the road. After some minutes, Aderonke ended the call and started scrolling on her phone. Then she started typing fast, smiling. Sadiq knew that smile. It was the smile she had when she was planning something. They arrived at a tall glass building on Victoria Island. Aderonke came down and fixed her dress. She did not say thank you. She just stretched her hand out. "Bring my bag," she ordered. "Yes, Ma," Sadiq said, picking it up. They entered the building and walked into the lobby. People greeted Aderonke quickly. "Good morning, Mrs. Bello." "Welcome, Ma." Aderonke nodded like a queen. Then she looked at Sadiq and hissed under her breath. "Stand one side," she whispered. "Don't block my light." Sadiq moved to the side. A man in a suit came over. He was a staff member. "Madam, your visitors are already upstairs," he said. "Good," Aderonke replied. "Let's go." As they entered the elevator, another woman stepped in too. She had long hair and a shiny bag. She smelled like perfume and money. She looked at Aderonke and smiled. Aderonke. Hi, the woman said. Aderonke's face opened like a curtain. Ah, Bisola, Aderonke shouted happily. My sister, how are you? They hugged and laughed. Then Bisola looked at Sadik. Is that your driver? She asked. Like she was asking if the car had AC. Yes, Aderonke said, waving her hand. That is him. Bisola stared at Sadik's face, then at his shoes. Whom? He looks quiet. Aderonke scoffed. Quiet? He is quiet because he has nothing to say. What will a driver know? His job is to drive and keep quiet. Sadik stood still, eyes forward. Bisola leaned closer to Aderonke and spoke like she did not want Sadiq to hear, even though he was right there. I hope he does not smell, Bisola whispered. Some of them do. Aderonke laughed hard. If he smells, I will wind down the window. Sadik's jaw moved a little, like he swallowed something heavy. The elevator opened. They walked out to a fancy office floor. Aderonke entered a meeting room with 3 people waiting. They were rich too. Their clothes were sharp. Their phones were expensive. Aderonke smiled wide. Good morning. I'm sorry for the delay. Lagos traffic is wicked. One of the men laughed. No problem. Sit, sit. Aderonke sat and started talking fast about designs, costs, and time. She used big smiles. She used sweet words. She acted like she respected them. Sadik stood by the door, holding her bag. After a while, Aderonke's phone rang. She picked it. Yes, she said, sounding annoyed. Then her face changed. Ah, baby, sorry. I'm in a meeting. She listened. Okay, she said. I will call you back. She ended the call, then turned to Sadiq, angry. Why didn't you remind me that I have another appointment? She barked. Sadiq blinked. Ma, you did not tell me. Are you talking back? Aderonke snapped. The clients looked at each other, surprised. Aderonke forced a smile. Sorry. Small issue. Then she leaned close to Sadiq and whispered with hot anger. Don't ever embarrass me in front of people. Do you hear? Yes, Ma, Sadiq said. When the meeting ended, they went back downstairs. Aderonke walked fast like she was trying to run away from her own shame. Once they got into the car, she started complaining again. You see why I hate working with poor people, she said, throwing her phone on the seat. You people are always slow. Sadiq did not answer. Aderonke looked at him through the mirror. Are you angry? No, Ma, he said. Good, she said. Because anger does not change anything. Your life is still your life. Sadiq's throat moved again. He kept driving. They reached a mall later that afternoon because Aderonke wanted to shop. She entered with 2 other women, Bisola and another friend named Tola. They were both dressed like they were going to a wedding. Sadiq followed behind with shopping bags. As they walked, the women talked about parties, men, and money. Their laughter was loud and proud. Bisola pointed at a dress in a shop window. This is the kind of dress I want for your birthday. Aderonke's eyes lit up. My birthday must be big this year. Bigger than last year. Tola smiled. Of course. You are Aderonke Bello. Aderonke touched her chest. Exactly. People must feel it. I want the kind of birthday that will make social media cry. Bisola laughed. Then invite the right people. No dull people. No cheap people. Aderonke nodded. Only the best. Tola looked behind and saw Sadiq holding bags. Your driver is still following like bodyguard, she said, laughing. Aderonke turned and looked at Sadiq like he was a stain. Sadiq, she called. Yes, Ma, he replied. Are you tired? She asked with fake kindness. No, Ma. Of course you are not tired, Aderonke said to her friends. He has nothing else doing with his life. This is his whole world. The friends laughed. Sadiq stood still. He did not laugh. He did not frown. He just waited. They entered another store. Aderonke tried on shoes. Bisola tried on bags. Tola tried on perfume. They kept talking, and each word was like they were throwing stones at someone who could not throw back. As they were leaving the mall, Aderonke's phone buzzed again. She checked a message and smiled that same planning smile. Bisola noticed. Why are you smiling like that? Adoronke raised her phone. My birthday plan is getting sweeter. Tola leaned in. Tell us. Adoronke looked around like she was about to tell a secret. Then she said, I want to do something funny this year. Something that will make everyone talk. Bisola grinned. Like what? Adoronke glanced at Sadiq. Then she lowered her voice, but she still spoke loud enough for him to hear. I'm going to invite Sadiq to my birthday, she said. Bisola's mouth opened. Your driver? Yes, Adoronke said, laughing. Imagine him among my rich guests. Imagine the way he will stand, lost, holding cup like village person. Tola burst out laughing. Ah, that is wicked. Adoronke shrugged like it was nothing. It will be fun. Let him enter big hall and see real life. Let him see how rich people behave. Maybe it will teach him to know his place. Bisola clapped. I like it. We will all watch him. Tola laughed again. He will embarrass himself. Adoronke's eyes shined. Exactly. And when he starts shaking, I will just smile and say, don't worry. He is my driver. Bisola wiped tears from laughing. Adoronke, you are not good. Adoronke lifted her chin. Life is not fair. If you are poor, you should accept it. Sadiq stood there, holding shopping bags, listening to every word. Adoronke turned to him suddenly. Sadiq, she called again, as if she just remembered he was a human. Yes, Ma, he said. Adoronke smiled like a cat. My birthday is next week, she said. You are invited. Sadiq blinked once. Bisola and Tola leaned forward, waiting for him to panic. But Sadiq did not panic. He did not beg. He did not ask why. He simply nodded and said, Thank you, Ma. The women froze for half a second. It was not the reaction they wanted. Adoronke's smile became tight. You will come, right? Yes, Ma, Sadiq said again, calm. Tola frowned. He is acting like it is normal. Bisola laughed nervously. Maybe he doesn't understand what it means. Adoronke waved her hand like she did not care, but her eyes stayed on Sadiq's face. Fine, she said. Just make sure you don't disgrace me. Dress well. Don't come looking like you slept inside gutter. Sadiq nodded. Yes, Ma. Adoronke turned and entered the car like a winner. Her friends followed, still laughing, still excited for the joke they believed was coming. Sadiq entered the driver's seat and started the engine. As he drove them back to the big house, the women kept talking about the party, about who would come, about how Sadiq would behave. But Sadiq did not join their laughter. He just drove. His face stayed calm. Yet, inside him, something was waking up. And as the sun started going down and the city lights came on, Sadiq's eyes stayed fixed on the road, like he had already chosen what he would do next. Sadiq drove Adoronke and her friends back to the house in silence. Inside the car, laughter filled the air. The women talked over each other, still excited about the birthday party and the joke they believed would be sweet. Every few seconds, Adoronke laughed the loudest, like she wanted to remind everyone that she was in charge. Can you imagine his face? Bisola said, shaking her head. All those rich people, and your driver just standing there. Tola added, he will probably hold the wine glass with 2 hands. They burst into laughter again. Adoronke leaned back and crossed her legs. Let him come. I want to enjoy it well. Life has been too boring lately. Sadiq heard every word, but his face did not change. He kept his eyes on the road and his hands steady on the steering wheel. When they reached the house, Adoronke came down first. She did not say thank you. She never did. She walked inside like the house belonged to the world and the world belonged to her. Sadiq parked the car properly, locked it, and followed behind to drop the bags inside. After that, he quietly walked out through the small gate meant for staff. The street was calm. The evening air was warm. Sadiq walked slowly to the bus stop, carrying nothing but his thoughts. On the bus ride home, he sat by the window and watched the city pass by. Big buildings turned into smaller ones. Bright lights turned into dim bulbs. Smooth roads turned into rough streets. When he finally got down, He walked into a narrow street and stopped in front of a small building. The paint was old, the stairs were cracked, but it was home. He climbed the stairs and entered his one-room apartment. The room was quiet. A small bed sat by the wall. A table stood near the window. A mirror hung beside the door. Everything was simple, clean, and arranged. Sadiq dropped his keys on the table and sat on the bed. For a long moment, he just sat there, breathing slowly. Then he laughed. It was not loud. It was not happy. It was short and tired. "So she invited me," he said softly to himself. As a joke, he stood up and walked to the mirror. He looked at his face, really looked at it. "You still look the same," he said quietly. "Nothing has changed." He turned away from the mirror and walked to a small wooden box under his bed. He dragged it out slowly and placed it on the floor. The box was old. The edges were worn. The lock had long stopped working. Sadiq knelt down and opened it. Inside were things he had not touched in years. Old photos, a folded suit bag, a small card with his name printed on it. He picked up one photo. It was him. Younger, taller, standing under bright lights. People were clapping. He was wearing a fitted suit and walking on a long stage. Sadiq's fingers trembled a little. "That was a long time ago," he whispered. He picked another photo. In this one, he was smiling wide. A woman stood beside him, holding his arm. His mother. "You said I should never bend my head," he said. "You said life can push, but I should not break." He placed the photo down gently. Then he opened the suit bag. Inside was a three-piece suit. Dark, clean, well kept. He touched the fabric slowly, like he was touching something alive. "This suit," he said quietly. "You carried me to places I never thought I would see." His phone buzzed suddenly. Sadiq stood up quickly, like he had been caught doing something wrong. He checked the screen. It was a message from Aderonke. "Don't forget. My birthday is next week. You will come early." Sadiq stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed back, "Yes, Ma." He dropped the phone on the bed and sat down again. For a few seconds, doubt tried to enter his heart. What if she is right? He asked himself. What if I embarrass myself? He stood up again and faced the mirror. Slowly, he straightened his shoulders. "No," he said. "I did not embarrass myself before. I will not start now." The next morning, Sadiq arrived at work early as usual. He washed the car, wiped the seats, and checked the tires. Aderonke came out of the house talking on the phone. "Yes, everything is set," she said loudly. "The hall is booked. The guest list is full. This birthday will shake Lagos." She ended the call and looked at Sadiq. "You," she said, snapping her fingers. "Did you hear what I said yesterday?" "Yes, Ma," Sadiq replied. "You are coming to my birthday," she said slowly, like she was explaining to a child. "Don't disgrace me." "I understand, Ma," Sadiq said. Aderonke rolled her eyes. "You better." As they drove out, Aderonke kept talking about the party. She talked about the hall, the food, the guests, and how important it was. "You know," she said, adjusting her hair, "people will be coming from everywhere. Big people. You must not talk anyhow. Just greet and keep quiet." "Yes, Ma." "Don't eat like you are starving," she added. "And don't ask questions." "Yes, Ma." She looked at him through the mirror. "Why are you always saying yes like robot?" Sadiq met her eyes in the mirror for a second. "Because that is my job, Ma." Aderonke smiled, pleased. "At least you know." Later that day, Aderonke met with her friends again at a cafe. Sadiq waited outside in the car. Inside, Bisola and Tola were already there. "Aderonke," Bisola shouted. "We were just talking about your driver." Aderonke laughed and sat down. "That man will give us free comedy." Tola leaned forward. "Is he really coming?" "Yes," Aderonke said. "I invited him myself." Bisola smiled wide. "I can't wait. I will sit where I can see him clearly." Tola added, "I hope he does not wear his work clothes." Aderonke waved her hand. "Even if he borrows suit, it will still show." They laughed again. Outside, Sadiq sat quietly, looking at the cafe door. He could see their mouths moving through the glass. He knew they were talking about him. His phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from an unknown number. "Hello Sadiq. This is Kola. We trained together years ago. Someone saw your picture online. Are you still modeling?" Sadiq's heart skipped. He typed slowly. "I stopped. I drive now." The reply came fast. "Driving does not erase talent. If you ever need anything, call me." Sadiq stared at the message. Then he locked his phone. That evening, after work, Sadiq did not go straight home. He stopped by a small tailor shop. The signboard was old. The tailor was an elderly man. "Good evening, sir," Sadiq said. The tailor looked up. "Good evening, young man. How can I help you?" Sadiq opened his bag and brought out the suit. "I need this to fit perfectly," he said. The tailor's eyes widened. "This is a fine suit." Sadiq nodded. "It means a lot to me." The tailor smiled. "Then we will do it well." As Sadiq walked out of the shop, the sun was setting again. The city lights began to glow. At home that night, Sadiq sat on his bed and stared at the wall. "This invitation was meant to shame me," he said softly. "But it will not." He lay down slowly, eyes open. In another part of the city, Aderonke lay on her big bed, smiling as she scrolled through pictures of the event hall. She whispered to herself, "This birthday will be unforgettable." Both of them were right, but for very different reasons. The day of the birthday party finally arrived. From early morning, Aderonke's house was already noisy. Workers moved in and out. Makeup artists arrived with boxes. Hairstylists dragged long bags behind them. Everyone greeted Aderonke with soft voices and wide smiles. "Good morning, Ma. Happy birthday in advance, Ma." Aderonke sat on a tall chair in front of a mirror, wearing a robe, while someone fixed her hair. "Yes, yes," she said, waving her hand. "Make sure everything is perfect. I don't want any mistake today." Outside, Sadiq stood beside the car, waiting as usual. Aderonke walked out after some time, dressed in a fine outfit, shining like she wanted the sun to respect her. "Sadiq," she called. "Yes, Ma," he replied. "You will drop me at the hall and go home," she said. "Don't come early. Come later. I don't want people seeing you too soon." Sadiq nodded. "All right, Ma." She looked at him again. "And remember, dress well. Don't disgrace me." "Yes, Ma." As they drove, Aderonke talked non-stop about the party. "Today is not for mistakes," she said. "People are coming from everywhere. Big people. You know how Lagos is." "Yes, Ma." She smiled to herself. This party will be talked about for years. They arrived at the event hall before noon. The place was huge. White and gold decorations filled the space. Long tables stood in rows. Flowers were everywhere. The lights were bright and clean. Aderonke stepped out of the car and smiled wide. "This is it," she said proudly. She turned to Sadiq. "Go. I will see you later." Sadiq watched her walk inside, surrounded by people calling her name. Then he drove away quietly. Hours later, evening came. The hall slowly filled with guests. Expensive cars lined up outside. Music played softly in the background. People dressed in shiny clothes walked in, laughing and greeting each other. Aderonke stood near the center, greeting guests like a queen. "Ah, welcome. Thank you for coming. You look beautiful." Her friends, Bisola and Tola, stood close to her. Bisola looked around. "This place is full already." Aderonke smiled proudly. "As it should be." Tola leaned close. "So where is our main guest?" Aderonke laughed. "Relax. He will come. Let him suffer small first." They laughed together. Time passed. More guests arrived. Plates of food moved around. Drinks flowed freely. Some guests began to ask questions. "Madam, happy birthday," a woman said. "But where is your driver? I heard you invited him." Aderonke smiled like she was waiting for that question. "Oh, he will come. He is probably still confused." The woman laughed. "This will be interesting." Across the hall, Bisola pointed at the door. "I'm watching that entrance. I don't want to miss it." Tola nodded. "Same here." Minutes turned into an hour. Still no sign of Sadiq. Aderonke began to enjoy the waiting too much. Maybe he is scared, she said loudly. Maybe he borrowed clothes that don't fit. Bisola laughed. Or maybe he is still practicing how to greet rich people. Tola added, he will probably call you for help. Aderonke checked her phone. No missed call. She smiled. Let him come when he wants. The longer he waits, the better. Inside another part of the city, Sadiq stood in front of a mirror. The room was quiet. He was dressed in his three-piece suit. The tailor had done a good job. The suit fit him like it was made for his body alone. His shoes were polished. His hair was neat. He looked at himself carefully. You can do this, he said softly. He adjusted his collar and took a deep breath. His phone buzzed. A message from Aderonke. Where are you? Don't be late. Sadiq read it and typed back calmly. I am on my way, Ma. Back at the hall, Aderonke showed the message to her friends. See, she said. He is coming. Bisola clapped lightly. Good. I was getting bored. The music grew louder. The MC took the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced. Let's celebrate the birthday queen of the night. Cheers filled the hall. Aderonke danced slowly, enjoying every second. Cameras flashed, phones recorded. After the dance, she returned to her seat, breathing lightly. She looked around again. Still no Sadiq. Where is he? Tola whispered. Aderonke frowned slightly. He said he is coming. Another friend joined them. People are asking about your driver. Aderonke laughed. Tell them to wait. Time passed again. Guests began to settle. Some sat down. Some stood in groups talking. Bisola leaned closer. Hope he does not disappoint us. He won't, Aderonke said. Disappointment is his nature. Then the hall door opened slightly as some staff walked in with more trays. Everyone glanced briefly, then looked away. Aderonke sighed. This man is wasting my time. She picked up her phone and called Sadiq. The phone rang. Sadiq answered calmly. Yes, Ma. Where are you? She asked sharply. I am close, Ma, he replied. You better be, she said. Don't come looking foolish. Yes, Ma. She ended the call and shook her head. Imagine, she said to her friends. Still stressing me on my birthday. Bisola smiled. The wait will be worth it. Suddenly, the music lowered. Not because the DJ planned it, but because people near the door started murmuring. Small whispers moved across the hall like wind. Aderonke noticed. She turned slowly. What is happening? She asked. Bisola's eyes stayed on the entrance. Tola stood up slightly from her seat. Then the hall door opened fully. The room began to quiet down. Heads turned. Phones slowly lifted. Aderonke felt something strange in her chest. She stood up, eyes fixed on the door. For a moment, no one spoke. The door stayed open, and someone stepped inside. The hall went silent. The person who stepped inside was Sadiq. For a second, nobody moved. The music stayed low. The lights stayed bright. But the hall felt frozen, like time had stopped just to look at him. Sadiq walked in slowly, not rushing, not dragging his feet. He was wearing a dark three-piece suit that fit him like it belonged to his body. The jacket sat well on his shoulders. The trousers fell clean to his shoes. His white shirt was crisp. His tie was neat. His shoes shined under the lights. He did not look around like he was lost. He did not bend his head. He walked straight. Whispers started at the door, then spread like fire. Who is that? Is he a celebrity? I swear I've seen him somewhere before. Phones lifted quietly. A few camera flashes popped without warning. Sadiq kept walking. At the center of the hall, Aderonke stood stiff. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed again. Her smile disappeared so fast it was like it was never there. Bisola grabbed her arm. Wait. Bisola whispered. Is that your driver? Aderonke did not answer. Tola leaned forward, eyes wide. No. That can't be him. Sadiq took another step. Another. The space around him seemed to open on its own. People moved aside without being asked. Some smiled at him. Some stared in shock. Aderonke's heart began to beat fast. That's not possible, she muttered. That's not how he looks. Bisola whispered again, her voice low. Aderonke, that is Sadiq. Aderonke swallowed hard. No, she said. No, no, no. Sadiq stopped a few steps into the hall. He looked around calmly, like someone taking in a room he belonged in. His eyes moved slowly, not greedy, not scared. Then his eyes met Aderonke's. For a brief moment, everything between them flashed. Every insult, every laugh, every time she talked down on him. Sadiq's face did not change. He nodded once, politely. Good evening, Ma, he said. His voice was calm, clear, steady. People around them heard it. Ma, someone whispered. Bisola's mouth fell open. Aderonke forced a laugh that sounded wrong. Sadiq, she said loudly. You came. Yes, Ma, he replied. Happy birthday. Silence followed his words. Then someone clapped. Slowly, another person joined. Soon, a few claps spread, confused but impressed. Aderonke felt her knees weaken slightly. She grabbed the back of her chair. Tola leaned close and whispered, "Why does he look like this?" Aderonke hissed back, "I don't know." A woman nearby turned to her friend. "That man is fine." Another whispered, "His walk. Did you see his walk?" Sadiq took a few more steps forward. A man in a cream suit stepped out of the crowd and smiled at him. "Good evening," the man said warmly. "Welcome." "Good evening, sir," Sadiq replied. The man nodded with respect. "You look sharp." "Thank you, sir." Aderonke watched the exchange, her stomach tight. "That man doesn't greet me like that," she muttered. "He doesn't talk to me like that." Bisola did not answer. Her eyes were still on Sadiq. Another woman stepped closer to Sadiq, smiling wide. "Are you one of the guests?" she asked. "Yes," Sadiq said politely. "Oh," the woman laughed softly. "You look amazing." "Thank you," he replied. She giggled and touched her hair. "Please, can we take a picture?" Sadiq hesitated for a second, then nodded. "All right." The camera flashed. Aderonke's breath caught in her throat. "What is happening?" she whispered. Tola shook her head slowly. "This is not what we planned." The MC, still holding the microphone, looked confused. "Ah," he said slowly. "Welcome. Welcome. Please make yourself comfortable." Sadiq nodded again and moved toward the sitting area. As he passed by Aderonke, she spoke quickly. "Sadiq," she said in a low voice, forcing a smile. "You didn't tell me you had this kind of suit." Sadiq looked at her. "You didn't ask, Ma," he replied gently. The words were simple, but they landed heavy. Aderonke's smile froze. Bisola stared at Sadiq as he walked away. "Since when is he this tall?" she asked quietly. Tola replied, "Or this calm." They watched as Sadiq took a seat at an empty table. Almost immediately, two women joined him. "Can we sit here?" one asked. "Yes," Sadiq said. They smiled and sat. Aderonke's chest felt tight. "This is my party," she said under her breath. "Why is everyone looking at him?" Bisola did not respond. She was too busy watching Sadiq laugh lightly at something one of the women said. "That laugh," Bisola murmured. "It's nice." Aderonke turned sharply. "Bisola." Bisola blinked. "What? You're staring," Aderonke said. Bisola looked away quickly. "I was just surprised." Across the hall, a group of men whispered among themselves. "That guy has presence. He looks like a model. Who invited him?" Someone answered. "The celebrant. He's her driver." Laughter followed, but it was not mocking. It was disbelief. Aderonke overheard and felt heat rise to her face. She marched towards Sadiq's table. "Sadiq," she said loudly. "Come here." The women at the table looked up. Sadiq stood calmly. "Yes, Ma? Why are you sitting there?" she asked, smiling too hard. "You should stay close. People may need you." Sadiq nodded. "All right, Ma." He turned to the women. "Excuse me." "No problem," one of them said, still smiling. "We will talk later." Sadiq walked back toward Aderonke. As he stood beside her, The difference between them felt strange. He looked confident. She looked unsure. Aderonke leaned closer and whispered, "What are you doing?" "Attending the party," Sadiq replied softly. She frowned. "Don't overdo it." "I'm not, Ma," he said. Bisola watched them closely. "Sadiq," Bisola suddenly said, smiling. "You clean up well." "Thank you, Ma," he replied. Her smile stayed longer than needed. Aderonke noticed. She laughed loudly. "Ah, he borrowed the suit. You know drivers." Sadiq said nothing. A man nearby turned and asked, "Borrowed? From where?" Aderonke waved her hand. "You know, somewhere." The man nodded slowly, not convinced. Music started again, louder this time. People began to dance. Sadiq stood quietly, watching. A woman approached him again. "Would you like to dance?" Sadiq smiled politely. "Maybe later." She laughed. "I'll be waiting." Aderonke felt something slip from her grip. This was not the night she planned. Bisola leaned closer again, her voice softer now. "Aderonke, you never told me your driver was like this." Aderonke snapped. "Like what?" Bisola paused, then said, "Like this." She gestured toward Sadiq, who was now talking calmly with two men who listened with interest. Aderonke watched them laugh at something he said. For the first time that night, she felt small. And across the hall, as Sadiq spoke and smiled under the bright lights, one thing became clear. The joke had changed direction. And it was no longer funny for the person who planned it. The music grew louder, and the party moved into full swing. People danced. Glasses clinked. Laughter filled the hall. But even with all the noise, something had clearly changed. The center of attention was no longer Aderonke. It was Sadiq. At first, Aderonke tried to ignore it. She smiled for pictures. She danced when the camera came close. She laughed loudly so people would hear her. But her eyes kept moving on their own, always finding Sadiq. He was standing near the side now, talking with a small group. Two women leaned in close to him, laughing at whatever he said. One of them touched his arm lightly as she spoke. Aderonke's jaw tightened. Bisola noticed it too. "Ah," Bisola said softly. "People really like him." Aderonke forced a laugh. "They like novelty. It will pass." But it did not pass. Another woman joined the group around Sadiq. Then another. Soon, it looked like a small circle had formed, with Sadiq at the center. Tola leaned close to Aderonke. "Your driver is becoming popular." Aderonke snapped. "He is not my driver tonight." Tola blinked. "What?" "I mean," Aderonke corrected herself quickly. "He is a guest. Let him enjoy." But her voice lacked confidence. Across the hall, one of the women smiled brightly at Sadiq. "You're very calm," she said. "Most men here are trying too hard." Sadiq smiled lightly. "I'm just enjoying the night." She tilted her head. "What do you do?" Sadiq paused for half a second. "I drive." Her eyes widened. "You drive? Like for fun?" Sadiq shook his head gently. "For work." She stared at him, surprised, then laughed softly. "I never would have guessed." Another woman jumped in. "Same here. You carry yourself well." "Thank you," Sadiq replied. A man nearby listened closely. "You don't talk like most drivers." Sadiq met his eyes. "People are many things, sir. Work is just one of them." The man nodded slowly. "True." Aderonke overheard that last part. She stepped forward quickly. "Sadiq," she said with a sharp smile. "Are you okay? You've been standing for long." "Yes, Ma," Sadiq said calmly. "You can sit," she added. "Or maybe help around." One of the women frowned. "Help around?" Aderonke laughed quickly. "Oh, I mean, you know, he likes to stay busy." Sadiq looked at Aderonke, then back at the woman. "I'm fine," he said. The woman smiled. "Good. Don't go anywhere." Aderonke felt heat rise in her face. She turned away sharply. "This is nonsense," she muttered. Bisola followed her. "Aderonke, calm down. Did you hear the way they talk to him?" Aderonke hissed. "Like he belongs here." Bisola hesitated. "Maybe he does. Aderonke spun around. What did you say? I mean, Bisola corrected herself quickly. People are just curious. Aderonke shook her head. This was supposed to be fun. From across the hall, a man with a camera lifted it again. He had been watching quietly for some time. He wore black and moved like someone who knew where to stand. He snapped another picture of Sadiq, this time as Sadiq laughed at something one of the women said. The camera clicked. Sadiq noticed and looked up. Oh, he said. Sorry, did I block your shot? The man smiled. Not at all. You are the shot. Sadiq blinked. Me? Yes, the man said. You have a good look. Sadiq nodded politely. Thank you. The man lowered his camera. I post event photos online. People like faces. Okay, Sadiq said. Another camera flash went off from a different angle. Aderonke saw it. Why is that man taking pictures of him? She asked sharply. Tola shrugged. Maybe he thinks he's important. Aderonke scoffed. Important because of my party. But the words sounded weak, even to her. The MC called for attention again. Ladies and gentlemen, food is served. People cheered and moved toward the tables. Sadiq stood back, letting others pass. One of the women touched his arm again. Come sit with us, she said. Sadiq hesitated. Are you sure? Of course, she replied. You're part of the party. He followed them to the table. Aderonke watched from a distance, gripping her drink too tightly. That seat, she whispered. That is where my clients sit. Bisola glanced at her. You didn't reserve it. Aderonke stayed quiet. At the table, Sadiq listened more than he spoke. When he did speak, people listened. He smiled. He nodded. He did not brag. He did not explain himself. That calm made people lean in more. One of the women said, You should model. Sadiq laughed softly. No. Why not? She asked. I don't think about things like that, he replied. Another woman shook her head. You should. You have the face. A man added, and the walk. Sadiq smiled again. Thank you. Across the hall, Aderonke sat down heavily. They are acting like he is better than me, she said. Bisola looked uncomfortable. No one said that. But they are thinking it, Aderonke snapped. She stood up suddenly and walked toward the DJ. Turn up the music, she ordered. This place is dull. The DJ obeyed. Music blasted. Lights flashed. But even with the louder sound, eyes still moved toward Sadiq. A few minutes later, Sadiq's phone vibrated in his pocket. He checked it quietly. A notification. Someone had tagged him in a photo. He opened it. It was the picture the man with the camera had taken. The caption read, Who is this guy? The photo already had likes. Sadiq frowned slightly, then locked his phone. Aderonke noticed him looking at his screen. What is he checking? She asked. Tola shrugged, probably begging someone for help. But Sadiq's phone vibrated again. And again. He checked it once more. More likes. More comments. Fine man. Where did he come from? He looks like a model. Sadiq swallowed slowly. One of the women noticed his expression. Everything okay? Yes, he said. Just messages. She smiled. Popular already. He laughed lightly. Across the hall, Aderonke felt something twist inside her. She grabbed Bisola's arm. This is getting out of hand. Bisola said nothing. Another vibration hit Sadiq's phone. Then another. He stepped aside politely and checked it. This time, a message came through from an unknown number. Hello. This is Kemi. I saw your photo from the event. You have a strong look. Sadiq stared at the message. Then another followed. Are you signed to any agency? Sadiq's chest rose and fell slowly. He typed carefully. No. The reply came almost instantly. We should talk. Sadiq locked his phone and slipped it back into his pocket. He looked up. The hall looked the same, but it felt different now. The laughter, the lights, the people. Something had shifted. Aderonke watched him from across the room, her heart beating faster for reasons she did not understand. The party continued, but somewhere between the music and the flashing lights, the night had stopped being about her. And Sadiq's phone buzzed again, Quietly, like the future knocking without asking for permission, the party slowly began to calm down. Not because people were tired, but because the night had reached that soft moment when guests stopped dancing and started talking deeply. Shoes were kicked off under tables, jackets were loosened, laughter became slower and closer. Sadiq stood near a quiet corner, holding a glass of water. His phone stayed silent for a few minutes now, like it was resting after too much noise. Aderonke watched him from across the hall. She did not like the calm on his face. It made her uneasy. She leaned toward Bisola. "Why is he standing like that?" she asked. "Like he owns the place." Bisola shrugged. "He's just standing." "No," Aderonke snapped. "Look at him. He's too relaxed." Bisola said nothing. Sadiq's phone buzzed again. He checked it this time, slower than before. A message popped up. "Hi, this is Kemi. I work with a modeling agency. I hope you got my earlier message." Sadiq's fingers froze on the screen. Another message followed. "I'm at the event. I would love to speak with you for a minute." Sadiq lifted his head slowly. He looked around the hall. Near the far side, close to the wall, stood a woman in a simple black dress. She was not loud. She was not dancing. She watched people quietly, like someone counting steps in her head. When their eyes met, she raised her hand slightly. Sadiq's heart beat faster. He took a deep breath and walked toward her. As he passed Aderonke's table, she noticed his movement. "Where is he going?" she asked sharply. Tola followed his direction with her eyes. "He's walking toward that woman." Aderonke frowned. "Who is she?" "I don't know," Bisola said. "She's been standing there for a while." Aderonke stood up quickly and followed them. Not too close, but close enough to hear. Sadiq stopped in front of the woman. "Hello," he said politely. She smiled. "Hi, I'm Kemi." "Nice to meet you," Sadiq replied. "Likewise," she said. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." "No," Sadiq said quickly. "It's okay." Kemi looked at him closely, then nodded. "You have a strong presence." "Thank you," Sadiq said. She folded her arms gently. "Have you ever modeled before?" Sadiq hesitated. "Yes," he said. "A long time ago." Kemi's eyes brightened. "I knew it. Your walk gives it away." Sadiq smiled lightly. "Life happened." Kemi nodded slowly. "It always does." Aderonke stood a few steps away, pretending to talk to someone else, but her ears were open. Kemi continued, "I saw your picture online tonight. It's already moving fast." Sadiq frowned slightly. "I didn't plan for that." "I know," Kemi said. "That's why it's good." She paused. "Would you be open to coming in for an audition?" Sadiq's chest rose and fell. An audition. The word hit him like a door opening. I drive now," he said carefully. Kemi smiled. "Driving does not erase skill." Aderonke's breath caught. "What did she say?" she whispered to herself. Sadiq asked softly, "What kind of audition?" Kemi replied, "A simple one. Just to see where you are." Sadiq nodded slowly. "Okay." Kemi smiled wider. "Good. I'll send you the details." She pulled out her phone and sent a message. Sadiq's phone buzzed immediately. Aderonke clenched her fists. "This is nonsense," she muttered. Kemi added, "No pressure. Just come as you are." Sadiq smiled. "Thank you." They shook hands. As Sadiq turned to walk away, Aderonke stepped forward. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "Who are you?" Kemi turned calmly. "I'm Kemi. And what are you doing with my driver?" Aderonke asked. Sadiq stiffened slightly. Kemi looked from Aderonke to Sadiq, then back. "I'm talking to him." Aderonke forced a laugh. "About what?" "Work," Kemi replied simply. Aderonke's smile cracked. "Work? He already has work." Kemi nodded. "For now." The words hung in the air. Aderonke laughed again, louder this time. "You people joke too much." Kemi smiled politely. "I don't joke with my work." Sadiq stood quiet between them. Aderonke turned to him sharply. "Sadiq, you didn't tell me you were looking for another job." Sadiq met her eyes. "You didn't ask, Ma." The same words again. Aderonke felt her chest tighten. Kemi checked her watch. I'll let you get back to the party. We'll talk soon. She nodded at Sadiq and walked away. Aderonke grabbed Sadiq's arm and pulled him aside. What was that? She hissed. She asked me to come for an audition, Sadiq said calmly. Audition for what? Aderonke snapped. Modeling, he replied. Aderonke burst out laughing. Modeling? You? Yes, Ma, Sadiq said. She shook her head hard. Don't let this party enter your head. It's not the party, Sadiq replied quietly. It's my past. Aderonke scoffed. Past? Please. She leaned closer. Listen to me. Don't embarrass yourself. People say many things when they drink. They weren't drinking, Sadiq said. Aderonke straightened up. Are you arguing with me? No, Ma, Sadiq replied. I'm just answering. She stared at him for a long moment, then turned away sharply. This is not serious, she muttered. The party ended later that night. Guests hugged. Cars lined up again. Staff cleaned quietly. Aderonke left the hall without saying much. Sadiq followed behind and drove her home. Inside the car, silence filled the space. Halfway through the drive, Aderonke spoke. Don't forget who you are, she said coldly. Sadiq kept his eyes on the road. I know who I am, Ma. She scoffed. You are a driver. Sadiq did not reply. When they reached the house, Aderonke got down without looking at him. Be at work early tomorrow, she said. We have meetings. Yes, Ma, Sadiq replied. That night, Sadiq did not sleep much. He sat on his bed, phone in hand, reading the audition message again and again. The address, the time, the simple words, come as you are. The next morning, he woke up early, earlier than usual. He ironed his shirt slowly. He polished his shoes. He moved with care. At work, Aderonke watched him closely. You look too happy, she said. I'm fine, Ma, Sadiq replied. Don't forget your place, she warned. Yes, Ma, he said. That afternoon, while waiting in the car outside a building, Sadiq's phone buzzed again. Another message from Kemi. Just a reminder. Tomorrow, by 10 a.m. Sadiq typed back. I'll be there. Aderonke opened the car door suddenly. Who are you texting? She asked. Someone, Sadiq replied. She frowned. Someone? Or that woman? Sadiq paused. The audition is tomorrow, Ma. Aderonke laughed sharply. Good. Go and see. She leaned closer. When you come back disappointed, don't cry. Sadiq nodded. I won't. The next day arrived quickly. Sadiq dressed simply and neatly. He arrived at the audition hall early. Inside, bright lights filled the space. People moved around with clipboards. Kemi stood near the front. When she saw Sadiq, she smiled. You came, she said. Yes, he replied. She handed him a number. Let's see what you can do. Sadiq took a deep breath. As he stepped forward, memories rushed back. The walk, the lights, the silence before applause. He walked. Slow, steady, confident. The room grew quiet. Someone whispered, he's good. Another nodded, very good. After it ended, Kemi smiled wide. Welcome back, she said. Sadiq exhaled slowly. That evening, Aderonke sat in her living room, scrolling through her phone. She paused. A familiar face filled the screen. Sadiq, walking, confident, captioned with words she did not like. She sat up straight. What? She whispered. Her heart dropped. Because deep inside, she knew. Something had started. And it would not stop. The next few days felt strange for Sadiq. Life did not change all at once. But it no longer stayed the same either. On Monday morning, Sadiq still woke up early. He still wore his simple shirt and trousers. He still arrived at Aderonke's house before sunrise and cleaned the car. But something inside him had shifted. Aderonke noticed it. You are quiet, she said as she entered the car. I'm always quiet, Ma, Sadiq replied. No, she said sharply. This one is different. She studied him through the mirror. Did they call you again? Yes, Ma, Sadiq said honestly. Aderonki laughed, but it sounded thin. These people don't rest. She crossed her arms. Don't forget your work. Yes, Ma, Sadiq replied. But even as he said it, his phone buzzed inside his pocket. At the traffic light, when Aderonki was busy on her phone, Sadiq glanced down. A message from Kemi. Good news. They loved you. His heart skipped. Another message followed. They want to offer you a contract. Sadiq's hands tightened slightly on the steering wheel. At the office, Aderonke stepped out of the car and walked inside without saying thank you, as usual. Sadiq parked and waited. His phone buzzed again. Can you come in this afternoon to discuss details? Sadiq typed back slowly. Yes. That afternoon, Sadiq sat in a small office with white walls. Kemi sat across from him with a folder on the table. You did very well, she said. They were impressed. Sadiq nodded. Thank you. She slid the folder toward him. This is the offer. He opened it carefully. Money. His name. Photo shoots. Runway shows. It felt unreal. I still drive, Sadiq said quietly. I need time. Kemi smiled. We understand. But opportunities don't wait forever. Sadiq nodded again. I just need to think, he said. Of course, she replied. But not too long. That night, Sadiq lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. His phone rested on his chest. He thought of his mother. He thought of the old photos. He thought of the way people looked at him at the party. Then he thought of Aderonke. The insults. The laughter. The way she said his life was nothing. He sat up slowly. I can't stay halfway, he whispered to himself. The next morning, Sadiq arrived at work as usual. Aderonke was already upset. Why is traffic bad today? She complained as soon as she entered the car. I'll find another route, Ma, Sadiq said. She sighed loudly. This city will kill someone. As they drove, her phone rang. Yes, she answered sharply. Her tone changed halfway through the call. Oh, really? She said. I'll get back to you. She ended the call and frowned. What is it? Sadiq asked carefully. Nothing, she snapped. Just business. But her fingers shook slightly. Later that day, Sadiq received another message. We need your answer, Kemi wrote. Sadiq took a deep breath. He replied, I accept. Within minutes, his phone rang. Kemi's voice came through bright and happy. Welcome. Thank you, Sadiq said softly. You'll need to stop driving, she added gently. This will take your full time. Sadiq closed his eyes for a second. I know. That evening, Sadiq knocked on Aderonke's office door. She looked up, surprised. What is it? Can I speak with you, Ma? He asked. She rolled her eyes. Make it fast. Sadiq stood straight. I got a job offer. She laughed. Another joke? No, Ma, he said calmly. I accepted it. Aderonke's smile faded. Accepted what? A modeling contract, Sadiq replied. Silence filled the room. You're joking, she said slowly. No, Ma. Her face hardened. So what are you saying? I'm resigning, Sadiq said. I'll work till the end of the week. Aderonke stood up so fast her chair moved back. You can't resign, she snapped. I didn't give you permission. Sadiq kept his voice steady. I don't need permission, Ma. Her eyes widened. Is this because of that party? No, Sadiq replied. It's because of my life. She laughed sharply. You think you are better now? No, Ma, he said. I just want more. Aderonke pointed at him. You will fail. Sadiq nodded. Maybe. But I have to try. She turned away in anger. Leave my office. Yes, Ma, Sadiq said. That was the last time he called her that. The week passed quickly. On his final day, Sadiq returned the car keys and thanked the security guard at the gate. He walked out without looking back. Aderonke watched him leave from her window. She told herself she didn't care, but her chest felt heavy. Weeks passed. Sadiq's life changed fast. He attended fittings. He practiced walking. He stood under bright lights again. His face appeared online, then on posters, then on billboards. People started recognizing him. "Are you Sadiq?" they asked. "Yes," he replied. Aderonke noticed the change too. Her friends stopped calling as much. Meetings got cancelled. One afternoon, she sat alone in her living room watching TV. A fashion show played on the screen. Models walked one by one. Then the announcer spoke. "Next on the runway, rising star Sadiq." Aderonke froze. The camera zoomed in. Sadiq walked out. Calm, confident, powerful. The audience clapped loudly. Aderonke's mouth opened slightly. "That's him," she whispered. Sadiq walked the runway like he belonged there. Because he did. The show ended. Aderonke turned off the TV slowly. Her phone buzzed. A message from Bisola. "Isn't that your former driver?" Aderonke did not reply. She sat in silence, staring at the dark screen. Outside, the city moved on. And somewhere else, under bright lights and loud applause, Sadiq took a bow. Not as a driver, but as himself. Life did not slow down after that fashion show. It moved faster. For Sadiq, days became full. Full of early mornings, long fittings, bright lights, and new faces. He traveled from one place to another, sometimes not even knowing which day it was until someone reminded him. But through all the noise, he stayed the same. He still woke up early. He still spoke softly. He still listened more than he talked. Only now, people listened back. One afternoon, Sadiq sat in a large studio. White walls, bright lights, cameras everywhere. A woman fixed his jacket while another adjusted his collar. "Stand straight," one said. He did. "Relax your face," another added. He breathed slowly and did. The photographer lifted his camera. "Perfect," he said. Just like that. The camera clicked again and again. After the shoot, Sadiq sat quietly, scrolling through his phone. Messages poured in. People he had not spoken to in years. People who never noticed him before. "Congrats. So proud of you. Remember me?" He smiled lightly and locked his phone. Across the city, Aderonke's life moved in the opposite direction. Her mornings became quiet. Too quiet. No more calls waking her up early. No more assistants rushing around. No more drivers waiting outside with the car already cleaned. She still had money, but she had lost something else. Respect. One morning, Aderonke walked into her office and noticed something strange. The receptionist did not jump up quickly. The greeting was slow. "Good morning, Ma," the receptionist said, without excitement. Aderonke frowned but said nothing. Inside her office, she sat down and checked her emails. 2 clients had cancelled meetings. Another asked to reschedule indefinitely. She slammed her laptop shut. "What is happening?" she muttered. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up quickly. It was Bisola. "Aderonke," Bisola said carefully. "Are you okay?" "Why wouldn't I be?" Aderonke snapped. Bisola hesitated. "Some people are talking." "Talking about what?" Aderonke demanded. Bisola sighed. "About how you treated Sadiq." Aderonke laughed sharply. "That again?" "It's spreading," Bisola said. "People are saying you mocked him when he was nothing." Aderonke's chest tightened. "I gave him work." "Yes," Bisola replied. "But you also laughed at him." Aderonke said nothing. Later that day, Aderonke attended a small business gathering. She dressed well. She smiled. She tried to act like nothing had changed. But something had. People greeted her, but they did not stay. They talked briefly, then moved away. She noticed whispers, eyes glancing at her, then away. Then she heard it. "Isn't she the one that mocked that model? That driver guy?" Aderonke's hands shook slightly. She turned and left early. That night, she sat alone in her living room. The TV played softly, but she was not watching. Her phone buzzed. Another message. From a former client. "We've decided to go in a different direction." She dropped the phone on the couch. Across the city, Sadiq stood on a balcony, looking at the lights below. Kemi stood beside him. "You're doing well," she said. "I'm learning," Sadiq replied. She smiled. "People like you." Sadiq nodded. "I'm grateful." She leaned on the railing. "You know, your story inspires people." Sadiq looked at her. I didn't plan it. That's why it works, she said. The next week, Sadiq appeared on a billboard. Big, clear. His name written boldly beneath his face. People stopped to look. Some took pictures. Sadiq passed by one day in a car and saw it through the window. He stared quietly. I'm still me, he said to himself. That same day, Aderonke sat in traffic and looked up. She saw the billboard too. Her heart dropped. She stared at it for a long time. That used to be my driver, she whispered. The car behind her honked. She moved slowly. Later that evening, Aderonke attended another event. Smaller than before, fewer people. As she stood alone with a drink, she saw a familiar face enter. Sadiq. The room reacted instantly. Heads turned. Smiles spread. People walked toward him. Aderonke froze. Sadiq had not seen her yet. He greeted people politely, shaking hands, smiling softly. Someone touched his shoulder. We're glad you came. Thank you, Sadiq replied. Aderonke's chest tightened. She watched as people gathered around him, laughing, asking questions, treating him with respect. The same respect she once denied him. Sadiq finally noticed her. Their eyes met. For a second, neither moved. Then Sadiq nodded. Not with pride. Not with anger. Just a simple nod. Good evening, he said as he walked closer. Aderonke swallowed hard. Good evening. Silence sat between them. She searched his face for something. Pride, revenge, mockery. She found none. You're doing well, she said quietly. Yes, Sadiq replied. Thank you. She hesitated. I didn't know you had this. Sadiq looked at her calmly. Most people didn't. She nodded slowly. I guess. I was wrong. Sadiq did not smile. He did not frown. He simply said, life teaches all of us. She looked down. I thought inviting you that day would be funny. Sadiq nodded. I know. She looked up quickly. Do you hate me? Sadiq thought for a moment. No, he said. But I learned from you. She frowned. Learned what? How not to treat people. He replied gently. The words hit harder than anger ever could. Aderonke looked away. I'm sorry, she said, almost too low to hear. Sadiq nodded once. I accept. People began calling Sadiq from across the room. He turned to leave. Take care, he said. You too, Aderonke replied. She watched him walk away, surrounded by smiles and laughter. The same hall, the same lights. But the roles had changed. Weeks later, Aderonke sat in her house, packing some files into a box. Her business had shrunk. Not gone, but humbled. She moved slower now, thought deeper. Sadiq's life, on the other hand, kept rising. More shows, more contracts, more travel. But he never forgot where he came from. One morning, he visited his old street. He greeted neighbors. He smiled. Ah, Sadiq, someone shouted. We saw you on TV. He laughed. It's still me. That evening, he sat alone and looked at the old wooden box under his bed. The photos, the suit bag. He closed it gently. The story had come full circle. The woman who mocked him lost her power. The man who stayed quiet found his voice. And the joke that was meant to break him became the door that set him free. Sadiq stood up, looked into the mirror, and smiled softly. Not because he had won, but because he had become exactly who he was meant to be.